for support. We have the World Food Program, currently represented by Madam Micheline Paris. Thank you. You have the UNICEF as well. Yes. Others have come on board like SIF as well, because we want learners to learn, but if there's an issue of the stomach, they cannot learn. But then when we started providing meals in schools, another problem came about. It's a merry-go-round. Hakuna shida. That's the beauty of humanity, right? The issue is the cheapest, fastest, easily accessible, quote-unquote, source of fuel has been known to be firewood. So initially, schools will say they'll put a budget, they get firewood, and they use it for cooking. Something started happening in the kitchen. A kitchen where you'll be expecting the walls to be white, over time it became extra white. Yeah, we are Kenyans. Let's look at the reality, then we see the solutions. Okay? So, even so, it became problematic to keep getting firewood. So, you know the issue of certain budgetary competing interests, some delays here and there. So, tukaanza kuambia wanafunzi wengine, afternoon, endeni mkakote kuni. Yes? That's the sad reality in some of the schools. But even then, the emissions, this so-called bad smoke in the kitchens are increasing. We did some surveys. I will see some of the county directors of education. They actually said that there's a number of sick leaves from the kitchen staff because of the kind of air, the smoke, hewa chafu. We may want to call it black carbon, give it any name, but the consequence is respiratory illness. Now, the government said we have to find a solution. But the sad part is every solution comes at a price. NACONEC began the journey of looking for a solution to cover a number of things. Number one, 2.6 million learners are in school, but it's not enough. It is good, but not enough. We want to make that number move from 2.6 million to 10 million. Getting meals. But the more people you're trying to feed, you're likely to want to use more firewood. You want to solve the meal issue, but you're going to be creating a deforestation issue. Na kama tunavyojua tuko na 15 billion trees program. Hawezi kuwa unasema hapa tupande miti, alafu baada ya miaka miwili unaenda kukata miti. Negative exchange outcome. So, NACONEC began reaching out to different solutions providers, technology providers to see how can we provide meals for learners in a manner in which, one, it will be cost effective for the schools, it will be healthy for the kitchen staff as well. But the cost is always an issue. But that solution was there. So the first solution was, can we have a modern kitchen? Let me just say a modern kitchen. Nikisema kitchen, it can mean two things. The house and the kitchen apparatus. Ndio? Mimi naongea kuhusu jiko sasa. Let's have a modern cook stove that can be able to provide meals, the same amount of meals, but making sure the kitchen staff are as healthy as possible. We don't touch our trees. We don't ask learners to go to classes, and we make sure meals are provided in the shortest time possible, the most nutritious manner, the most nutritious meals as well. But there's a cost. Who's going to cover the cost? Najua kwa kichwa mnasema serikali. Hapana, serikali ni mimi na wewe. Hakuna serikali nyingine. Yes, the people are the government. Si ikulu peke yake, you are also the government. So, how can we as a people, as a community, as Kenyans, come up with the solutions that you are facing? Now, we are going to come into a realm that you have been hearing around, sijui carbon credits, sijui carbon this, carbon that, stongewe baadaye. But there are certain financial solutions out there that can allow schools acquire these kitchens in the most cost-effective manner to ensure meals are provided. If you used to cook 50 kilograms of rice, keep on cooking 50 kilograms of rice. The difference being there's less smoke in the kitchen, you have got healthier kitchen staff, meals are always there, and our trees keep on growing. Later today, we are going to have two interesting sessions. You're going to have a presentation from the apparatus you have seen out there, the able engineer who was able to provide the solution to the Ministry of Education through NACONEC is going to tell us how it works and the benefits. There are some schools, as you know, have been able to have that transition. But I know some of you are thinking, hii imewekwa tu hapa, si ndio? Hakuna shida. We will have a live transmission to Garissa High School, and whoever is there is going to give us a walkthrough of those kitchen. Ndio kama waamini hii, amini hiyo kwa Garissa. Na kama hujaamini, kesho tuende Garissa. Ama namna gani? Tuende Garissa tujione. The idea is all schools should really transition and keep off the firewood. The climate financing component is one of the reasons why we are actually here today. Naona iti runinga enda kuzimwa. Mtake afinye kitu. Yeah? There are certain financing solutions available within the global financing ecosystem, the global climate ecosystem, that says for you to be able to tap into that pot of bit of money to help you in fighting climate change, you need to consult the people to whom you are giving the solutions to. Leo hii mkisema, nyinyi na wale kwa online mkisema kwamba hiyo mambo yenu ni jaba, ni sawa. Lakini leo hii mkisema hiyo solution ni nzuri na mpatie mawaidha zaidi ya kufanya solution ikuwe bora zaidi, alhamdulillah, we'll be very grateful. Yes? So this is what many of us know is a public participation process. And I like that I think more than 25 counties are here. Yes? And that's where most of the operations of NACONEC is currently in. Okay? And that's why we were very deliberate in making a newspaper advertisement sometime last month to tell all members of the public we'll be convening here to that KCD. We have made a deliberate effort to also involve people who can't come here but they want to be with us spiritually. Yes? But in my realm, I say virtually. Like yote ni sawa, si ndio? So today, the purpose of today's convening is a public participation process for us to hear the solutions that NACONEC has been able to develop with the different partners. And the question to you will be one simple question. What do you think about that solution? Can it be made better? Do you know how to make it better? Or maybe kuna taswishi pengine itasema regeni kwa blackboard mupange 1 2 3. This is a public participation. In simple terms, I respectfully ask you that whenever we are having these conversations moving forward from this point in time, feel free to question. Kuna mtu aliniambia criticism is breakfast for champions, ndio? Lakini kwa vile lunch karibu, criticism is breakfast, is lunch for us. We as the proponents, the developers here, the government want to hear from you. If there's something can be made better, you can always make it better. I like to joke that we are able to send humans to the moon. Hakuna kitu hapa ardhi ni shida. Si ndio? So please ask questions, give us comments with respect to today's program. Just go back there. So the program, as you can see there, it's a local stakeholder consultation meeting for the institutional clean cooking for innovative and sustainable financing of the Universal Climate Smart School Meals program in Kenya. There are a number of things there. I'll just unpack for a bit. We want to feed learners. We want to make sure as you're feeding the learners, it's done in an environmentally safe way, meaning it's safe for the kitchen staff and our trees are not touched. And we want to make sure that the principal who's been asked to transition to stop using firewood is not going to be stressed. He's going to think about how exactly can I as a principal be able to tap into this. We are not saying we are having the entire solution. There's always a room for improvement. As a command is 0.0001% for improvement. Improvement is improvement. And we want to hear from you. Okay? So every other speaker, and the MC is going to help, every other speaker who takes this microphone, asiketi hadi mfanya nini? Muuliza maswali. myself included, right? Because the public participation, feel free to ask your questions. And for those of us who are also online, please feel free to post your questions and your comments, and we shall be able to relay them here. For those who are watching us on YouTube and the television, please also feel free to, on YouTube, just to post your comment as well. But those of you unable to do so, please feel free to visit the NACONEC websites and go to the contact button. Last but not least, I think most of you have been given a packet that has this particular brochure, correct? Yes? Now, I want to be very inclusive. Najua pengine wengine wenu hampeni kuongea. Si ndio? Hata mimi nakuanga media shy. I don't like speaking in public. Leo sijui ni nini imefanyika, right? So kama wewe ni kama mimi, ukienda ukurasa wa pili huko nyuma, utaona kuna hii kitu inakaa black. Kama sijui ni nywele ama ni steel wool, eh? You can see it. For those of us who have smartphones, please feel free to switch on the camera and you scan this one labeled feedback. Feedback meaning you can actually tell us anonymously what you think about this project. Feel free. You don't have to put your name, you don't have to put your phone number, you can just put it as anonymously. We receive your comments, your feedback, and we're able to interact with you. For those of you who want to be part of the thinking process moving forward, please feel free. Tumesikia kwamba so far we have done 6 kitchens as a government, right? Na shule za primary ziko ngapi? 24,000 plus. So tumebaki na ngapi? 24,990? 94. Hiyo sisi the team here, hiyo ni sisi sote tutazikava. Primary school and high school. Do we agree? We have to find ways in which you can transition all the schools as one community. For those of you who are principals as well, if you want to get more technical support to hasten the process, because we were just sampling some schools based on certain criteria to install the kitchens, you can also scan the second QR code. Yes? Yes, scan that second box, and you can also give us your insights, and then we can see how we can also hasten. The purposes of my presentation and for some of my other presentations today will focus mainly on unpacking this nicely made brochure, right? So as hata wewe ukirudi na mkubaliana na today's agenda, you are also now an ambassador. How many want to be an ambassadors here today? Yes. Yes, kuna kipawa nimepewa, and I'll bestow you as ambassadors of clean cooking at the end of today's session. Can we agree on that? That said, on the overview of the project, I hope you can see on the screens as well. But don't worry, if it's not too clear, please refer to this particular manual. The problems have been articulated here, that there's a case of harmful indoor air pollution. Yes, harmful indoor air pollution. Kumaanisha ile hewa chafu ambayo watu wakitumia kuni hata makaa kuna shida. Si ndio? Now, I do not want to sound like I am so developed as a human. No. The reality is, yes, we have been using firewood since the beginning of is it humanity or mankind? Which is which? Beginning of humanity. But we are now seeing that there are cases of respiratory illnesses that are causing a number of issues. And the context of most schools that we sampled, we had a baseline study across 21 counties, and the data there was alarming, but it's not something that we cannot be rectified as one community. The other issue, of course, you know, is the deforestation. Kwani hii makamu na nuanga, unadhani natoka wapi? It's not manna from the skies. Yes? It's basically from wood. Yeah? Na ile mbao ya meza, no. It's either some twigs that was on the ground, or somebody somewhere did something bad. Yes? That is the reality. So we want to stop the deforestation. We want to do afforestation. We want to reforest, and afforest don't want to deforest. Yes? For those of you who came from places where it is cool, you'll know why it's cool, because huko kuna a lot of trees. Ndio? Lakini tumekuja kwa shamba la Kabro. Hakuna miti, Is it cool? Nairobi is a cool city, but not cool in terms of temperature. It's a cool city to hang out, right? So that's the reality. So we want to afforest. And most principals and accountants in school will say that the cost of firewood is increasing. Why is it increasing? There is some restrictions to biashara ya kuni na makaa, si ndio? What do you think when you cut off supply and the demand is increasing? Wale wa Kenya watafanya ile kitu. Double, triple. It becomes unsustainable. Money that was supposed to be used towards physical education, infrastructure in schools is now going towards paying an extra unnecessary cost for the fuel. Yes? And if in a situation, and I hope it has never happened and it will never happen, in a situation whereby the entire kitchen staff is having respiratory illness, who is going to prepare foods for our learners? Are the teachers here willing to do that? Mnafundisha 9 to 12, 12 to 1 mnaingia jikoni kiasi, alafu 1 to 4 mnarudi darasani. Are you willing to do that? The teachers who are here? Yes. So we have to make sure even the kitchen staff who are preparing these meals are as healthy as possible. And then last but not least, of course, is now these emissions. For you to see the president having appointed an ambassador to tackle matters on climate, tabia nchi, is because things are getting bad and things have to be corrected. We have a ministry, we have NEMA, and now you have the climate envoy, because things are getting bad. You may not see it, but things are getting bad. Pole pole too. But now what the government is trying to do is to do a lot of mitigation. Si ndio? Unaona kuna shida, gari linakuja, ukatikati barabara unafanya nini? Unakaa kando, si ndio? But usipokaa kando, ugongwe, ukwe kilema, you'll have to adapt. Let's not get the point of adaptation. Let's mitigate now. There are things we can do to mitigate that. The solutions are there. And one of them is going to be presented to us by an able engineer from the demonstration. What is the government saying? Let's stop using firewood, let's stop using charcoal. The survey showed practically all the schools we sampled are using firewood, not charcoal. So what is the alternative fuel? I know this is a tricky conversation, but I want you to think of the alternative from the county you're coming in. Let's not kid ourselves. West Pokot is different from Nairobi, which is different from Garissa, which is different from Homa Bay, which is different from Kisumu, Mombasa, Kilifi. Kila county iko na utaratibu wake, si ndio? The solution, the choice of fuel must be informed by a number of decisions. Where you're coming from is one of them. There's a gentleman here, I remember he was talking about biogas, right? Wangapi unajua biogas? Umesikia biogas? Yes. You'd be surprised the source of fuel for the biogas. Ni kitu tunatoanga kila siku, alafu tunatupa. Lakini mwingine amechukua anatumia kama energy. Please find that gentleman, akuelezea zaidi kuhusu biogas. Government is saying the cleaner sources of fuel, there are several. And through the work that the ministry is doing through NACONEC and the guidance of development partners and technical experts like the engineers, there's Ignis, there's Vascab, and so many others you'll be interacting with today. There is, of course, one of the cleanest one is electricity. Si ndio? Najua umemeza mate, wanasema nini? Kupika nasema tena. Now, our engineer will tell us the kitchen, the steam kitchen that has been introduced is not like any other kitchen. And he'll explain to you how it has been able to make savings. But ni kumrahisishia kazi, najua wengine wenu mmesikia electric pressure cooker, EPC, si ndio? Si ndio? Ukipika mchele, how many minutes does it take? 2 minutes, 10 minutes? 5 minutes, yeah? Now imagine if you had an EPC at the industrial scale. How long do you think it'll take to cook rice in a school? Anyone? Microphones ziko kando yako. How long do you think it takes to cook rice in a typical school of 1,000 learners? How long? How many hours? Huh? Msana ingia jikoni saa 10 asubuhi. Samahani. I'm not laughing out of jest, but that's the reality. Ndio? Akitoka saa ngapi? 4 p.m., 6 p.m. Yeah? you will come to learn that the same way an electric pressure cooker at home can cook something in 4 minutes, 5 minutes, it's more or less the same scenario at the school level. Like, you don't have to listen to me. The engineer is here and we'll go to Garissa High School. He listen to the cook themselves. So there's a particular technology that has been introduced. That means even if you're going to be cooking with electricity, you're not going to be consuming as much as you're worried about. Hakuna shida, kuna LPG. LPG is considered also a transitional fuel for those who cannot use now the cleanest being electricity. Okay? And the engineer will tell you, and the one is using this LPG, he will tell you the amount of energy consumed by LPG in Garissa High School. Believe you me, make sure when he's telling you that amount, that cost, you're not holding a glass or a bottle of phone, because you will drop it. It is amazing. But he will tell us. Vile vile, kuna bioethanol, kuna biogas, na pia kuna solar. So any clean fuel is what we are saying that can be able to be used in the machine and can be able to achieve the same results but better results. That means you cook the same 50 kilograms of rice in the shortest space of time, but more importantly, making sure that the kitchen staff are not all too worried about too many things. And there's something we're going to do in terms of assessing the savings in terms of the smoke. If you imagine, once upon a time, we used to, in the kitchens, we were cooking with 3 stones na fired. Moshi imejaa, si ndio? Lakini tukapata kakitu kidogo, tukanunua ile jiko iko na ile matope, the ceramic jikos. Moshi sikapunguka. Alafu mshahara kaongezeka, tukaenda kwa LPG. Kupika na gas cooker, moshi kapotea. Kwa mbali kuna harufu, si ndio? Sasa kuna wale wakaomoka zaidi. Stima, hakuna harufu, si ndio? Now you can imagine ulianza hapa moshi, si ndio? Kutumia kuni. Lakini ukafika ukapunguza moshi kwa kutumia ile jiko ambaye na kuko na ceramic improved cook stove, LPG moshi kapunguka na sima ikaisha. We are able to calculate that amount of reduction. Upungufu wa hiyo hewa chafu tunahesabu. Tukishahesabu tunafanya ile biashara ya Kenya, tunauza. Naam? Tunapata ile inaitwa carbon finance. Lakini mazungumzo baadaye hayo. We want to develop that project, and this session here is to hear your opinions as to how exactly all this makes sense. Next. The program has a number of objectives that you want to achieve, and it's our hope that we'll be getting your insights. But before I proceed, naona kuna maswali kwa macho. Pengine tukipata maswali kwa mdomo. So far. Questions, comments? There's a microphone next to you. Number microphone hapa. It could be a question or a comment. If I cannot answer a question, so basi mnajua mimi ni nani. But no worries, we are all here to find the solutions. Now, maybe just identify yourself and then pose your question, your comment, and I'll do my best to answer it. And where there's more clarity needed, I'll throw it to the able table here.
Mine is just a concern. According to my observations, my name is Francis Kerr. I'm from Research Institution. Mine, I wanted just to know about, when you talk about Vision 2030, we are remaining only 5 years. And at least when we talk Vision 2030, we need to see the difference. Because if you go to these counties, I'm from Migori counties, you cannot tell me what's happening with the Vision 30, because Vision 30 was just maybe something like imagination in our community. Thank you.
I like that. Allow me to be responding to a question by the time. Kidogo nimezeeka, so ningependa kujibu swali moja bali lingine. Vision 2030 was a vision launched, I think it was under the president of the late President Kibaki, right? Or was it his vision? Was it his vision? Whose vision was it? Kenya. So to answer you, good sir, the government has a mandate to create the enabling environment for everybody to meet the Vision 2030. But from where I'm sitting, all of us must plug in. I like to use the example of the principal who mentioned their school is using biogas, therefore moving away from trees. So my response is that, yes, a number of counties, I know, we are very far from Vision 2030. But we have got two options. Tungoje ifike, ama tuifikie. Mtaka ipi? Itufikie ama tuifikie? Do we make sure we meet the vision, or we let the 2030 come to us? We aspire to support one another as a school, as a government, as a community, to meet that Vision 2030. There are challenges, and that's why we are here. Yeah, that's why we are here as public sector, private sector, development partners, philanthropists, engineers, and whatnot. We find ways in which we can help the schools in the transition. And I hope by the end of the day, you will feel that the section of Kenyans listening to us today have found a way for us to meet the Vision 2030 with respect to emissions or clean cooking in schools. That is my hope and prayer. Si kila mtu aliambia tu expectation yake, hiyo ni yangu sasa. Yeah, so lingine pale.
Thank you. My name is David Simiu. I come from Bungoma County. And my concern is only one. I don't know how the government is prepared to adapt this new technology of the cooking system in the kitchen, because, you know, even as at now, they are defeated even to pay capitation. How is it prepared to adopt this system? And, you know, they have been defeated with others, like what we have, the overheads in high schools. The principals know. There is a very big problem. Number two, when you look at the government itself, it is the one that initiated what we call NEMA. But now, go to prisons, go to police, go to government institution. You will find they are the ones who are deforesting these areas and taking firewood to cook for prisoners. So we want to know the take from the government first of all. Thank you.
Asante sana. Pengine before niwaruhusu, nilipewa, sitaki kusema power of attorney. Nilipewa fursa kuzungumzia baadhi ya issues on the budget constraints. It's true. There is budget constraints left, right, and center. That's the reality. Yeah? The question is, for this solution being suggested, what can be done? And that's why we mentioned there is a certain financing program called Climate Finance that can help the schools do the transition. Okay? There's a way. And that's why you find nobody has come to your school with a unique vehicle asking you, haven't you transitioned? Sindio? They are asking principals to work towards a transition by a particular year, but the solution can only come from ourselves. Yeah? The government is there to create the enabling environment. The engineer will tell us what enabling environment was created for him to have come up with one such solution. But one of the ways in which we're looking to raise finance for the transition is by tapping into the climate finance ecosystem. To be able to reduce these emissions, find somebody to transact it with, get something to help schools meet the transition. Because at the end of the day, like I've said, capitation inchelewa. But that's the reality. Hospitals asking for more cash. I mean, shida iko kila mahali. Yeah? Lakini tukimba wimbo wa taifa tulisema, it is our responsibility. So we appreciate the realities, but let's also see how we as a government, you are the government, I'm the government, everyone is the government, how we can get the solutions. And yes, a number of institutions here are using firewood. That is the reality. We might want to blame them, but the question is maybe hajapata solution. Yeah? I know most of you, when you saw that thing out there, mko nadhani pilao, si ndio? Ile ni jiko. Naam? Si ndio? But the key thing is, when there's a solution, one arm of government, in this case one minister in the government, in this case Minister of Education, is presenting one such solutions that the committee can tap into. How will it be adopted? One, securing climate finance, and two, there's a lot of capacity building. The engineer will tell us the amount of training he gave the staff at Nairobi School and Garissa High School and the other places has been doing it. Because when you introduce a new technology, you have to teach somebody how to use it. Si ndivyo ndio reality. Tulivyozalisha tufundisha kutembea. Si ndio? So it's all about capacity building, and that's part of the program in the transition. Before I take the next question here, there are two questions from the audience. About 3 weeks ago, the Ministry of Energy, including EPRA, announced a plan to transition approximately 11,000 schools to LPG through PPP, that is public-private partnership models. Is this initiative separate from or part of the project in question? The simple answer is this, for the best of my knowledge, whole government approach. Sindio? It's one government. Later, the CEO, Bwana Harun, will talk about the interministerial committee that brings in 5 ministries into the program. That is the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Environment, National Treasury, Water and Agriculture, as well, and Ministry of Energy. Okay. On top of that, there is a technical working group bringing in public sector personnel and private sector personnel to think around this. So it's a national conversation that has been there, and it's just a question of plugging in and supplementing their efforts. The second question is, how many programs are presently running through government and outside of government efforts in this sector to support clean cooking for schools? As I mentioned, there are multiple programs. I'm sure some of you mmesikia dishi na sakaja. Sindio? See, county government is government. Sindio? Yeah, so there are multiple initiatives because that's one county government has taken that approach. There's an NGO also doing the same thing with the Food for Education. There's NACONEC as well. World Food Program is doing it. There's so many people trying to do this. And I am sure some other people are providing meals to ECDs, primary schools. It's all about how do we get more learners to eat, to feed, and have the energy to absorb all the information we're giving them. Source in 100 years they're here. Sorry, in 2 years they replace me. Are you together? So even you who is here, you're thinking, how can you feed learners? Is always welcome. Any other question before I proceed? Yes.
Okay, maybe I think it's a very beautiful dream to have such cooking instruments that are outside there. I dare to try in Eldoret. Just bring it to my school, but I don't know where the food will come from. And I believe that when you bring the facility to my school, we will go out and look for food. And I believe you will also connect us to some people like the Mary Mills who used to provide food. And I think the first thing is to have the cow, then we feed the cow and milk it. Thank you.
Asante sana. That is a very fair point. Part of the solutions have been trying to be worked around in the interministerial committee and the technical working group is that's why we have the Ministry of Water and Agriculture to try and see how can we build capacity to make sure the food that's going to be prepared in schools is also coming from the local communities and not Unajua wapi. That is the intention. In fact, I know with the homegrown schools in this program, there's a deliberate effort to make sure that those within the surrounding, the producer, farmers, and suppliers within the surrounding school should be given preferential in terms of providing these meals. But the last thing you want is to create a demand and there's no supply. So that's why multiple ministries are part of the program to make sure that you are creating demand, but there's also supply from multiple fronts. Not just the food, but the water as well. Yeah? Unaweza kula githeri kavu lakini sio zaidi ya sahani mbili. Sindio? So there's also a part of the program, the water initiative, part of the larger program. There's an ongoing National School Meals Coalition. They have sittings that they're exploring all these issues to find a multi-pronged approach to that. And I think in the course of today's session as well, we might have 1 or 2 people from that coalition to just say what they're doing with respect to that particular question. But yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. My names are Joshua Adem. I'm from Siaya County. And my question is very simple. I thank you for the concept is very much encouraging for all of us. But I could see like you have missed something which is very important. Like I see you there, you look smart. Mm-hmm. But
looks kind of deceiving.
Yes, but supposing down, I don't see you from down. Now, supposing you look smart from up and down, maybe the shoes is torn. Do you look smart still? You don't. So by your concept, I think within the nomadic areas where we are discussing today, I would ask you that as we are trying to implement this program, yes, it is good, but do we find a way also, because you cannot have the food and you don't have the water, how do you cook? Now, in terms of that region, all those environments we are working in, how do you also implement the issue of water so that as we implement this, we don't have another problem called water? Thank you.
It's a very fair question. I'll want to give us. There's something I saw in terms of a program being designed, whereby there is one agency providing we're doing some pilots to do a bit of irrigation for the schools that are doing farming in northern part of Kenya. And two things. One is the installation of solar pumps. There's a bit of boreholes being dug, and then there's solar. And then because in the marginal areas of northern Kenya, most of the learners are from pastor's communities who have an obligation to herd livestock. So one of the programs being designed is when this learner comes to school, can they, in theory, I'm saying theory because we are looking at the modalities. Let's say Charles is going to get to Marsabit boys. He's in his family, he's the herder of, let's say, 10 heads of cattle. He goes with them, and the school has got some sort of grass paddocks to that. So it's still under design, but it's something maybe later that the CEO can give more detail, but there's something being designed around that. And there's one DFI, Development Finance Institution, that is putting together the finances for NACONEC, and then the project will be launched, but it must be a pilot scale. We need to always try out the solutions before coming to them. Like the case of these kitchens were piloted over a spread of about 2 to 3 years before now, okay, this thing is actually working. So there's that, but I will leave the able CEO later to talk in detail about that particular program. But yes, it is a concern, and hence the reason why solutions have to be designed for every respective county. That is one of the realities. And that's why even the technical working group is there, the National School Meals Coalition is there to just look at this thing from a holistic perspective. Yes?
Thank you. My name is Elizabeth. I have two concerns. One, I believe I heard you mention that there are plans to do a lot of capacity building. My question is, having capacity building and influencing behavior change are two different things. So what strategies or structures do you have in place to ensure that behavior change is influenced? That is one. And then secondly, I'm looking at the entire value chain that we are trying to develop when it comes to this particular program. So my question is around the metered methodologies that would come up with when it comes to the solutions that we are offering for these institutions. Because when you're talking about carbon credits and financing, then how are you able to verify whatever it is that is coming from the different institutions? Who is going to be the beneficiary? Is the value chain all going to be considered from the end user to the manufacturer to the distributors? How is everyone else going to be placed in terms of carbon credits and the placements?
Okay, thank you. I'll try and give a quick answer. Otherwise, as you may have noticed, our chief guest is here to grace the occasion. So I'll respond to that and revert to protocol. Behavior change, very true. In the case, for example, I want to be very practical in the examples. In the case of Nairobi School, when the transition was, before the transition happened, the team from NACONEC and of course the engineer spent some time having a conversation with the principal, the person handling budget, and also the kitchen staff to just really understand some of the problems. I'll give an example. One of the key problems that was mentioned was that, and I'm sure those of you who have been in school kitchens will remember that, or say that, because you're doing direct heating with, let's say, firewood, it's not easy to control the heat, yes? So in many cases, most of the time, some of the food gets burnt around the cooking vessel, ile sufuria. So umepika mchele kilo 10, lakini sio kilo 10 ambayo utapakua, kwa sababu kuna ile baadhi imeungua. So that approach allowed us to design that system with that in mind. Believe me, for example, that system, an engineer will tell us, can even cook ugali. Na ugali tatoka bila kuungua. But I know for most of us in homes, ugali ungua chini. Lakini in this case, that's not the case. Across different foods because of the kind of the cooking. So the solution towards that plus designing the behavioral change program is informed by the baseline study when you're having conversions of schools, because that was Nairobi School. The situation was different in Garissa High School, and I'm sure it will be different in West Pokot, Kilifi, and so forth, for example. So the behavior change program, the capacity building is purely informed on two things. One, the baseline study from what we learned from the school, and two, the available technologies being presented by the technical experts. So it's a two-pronged approach. The second question she was referring to was mostly on carbon credits. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. The mention of a beneficiary mechanism has been asked. How do we make sure that when this carbon finance comes out, all of those within the value chain are going to benefit? Now, the beauty of that is, in the current administration, there's a realization that there's a huge opportunity in climate finance and carbon finance, and therefore, where there's some bit of regulatory gaps, that to be fixed. So in 2023, the Climate Change Act was, 2016 was amended. So there's a new version that speaks to carbon finance, carbon projects. There's also the enactment of the carbon market regulations and whatnot. All this were in anticipation for that second question of how do we make sure there's a beneficiary. There's also a draft bill on beneficiarying, but particularly from the Climate Change Act and carbon markets regulation is that it has stipulated exactly how benefits are supposed to be shared between, let's say, in this case, a developer or the proponent and, let's say, the schools. Now, who gets the process? To be very clear, these are public schools, these are government institutions, so these are government, what's the right word? These are government assets, if I may, okay? So the primary use of these carbon credits, which will be in our later slides, are intended to go towards supporting schools in the transition. To the extent that once the school is able to fully afford the infrastructure, then because the project will be going for a couple of years, about 10 years or so, that extra revenue can go towards supporting schools in procuring these meals and whatnot. So to be very clear, all these are government processes and to be going to those schools who are participating. And of course, all those frameworks must be put in order, and one framework for one school may not be necessarily the same framework for another school. The bare minimum will be that which has been provided in the carbon markets regulation. To be specific, a project of this kind says 25% of the aggregated earnings must go to the social development fund to just help the entire ecosystem, but since the proponent is the government and the schools in this case, they get the entire benefits and nobody else. I can't speak for private schools because we are not doing anything right currently in the private schools, but for the case of the public schools, these are government assets, these are government institutions, so it will spread within the schools that are participating. So if a school is not part of the program, then it cannot participate. And that's why within the design, depending on the kind of fuel you're using, maybe some schools want to use LPG, so those will be in one particular grouped project. Those want to use electricity in one group project because we can't mix the fuel. And also you may find that those who want to provide financial support to the schools might have a preference from one fuel to the other. So to de-risk that and to mitigate that reality, we make sure we group schools based on the kind of fuels they're using and therefore, of course, the benefits for that particular setting. So we are not forcing schools. The schools that are ready to transition, of course, we'll share the benefits and whatnot, but that is the reality. I'll respond to the last question, then I have to revert to protocol. Kuna hawa kwa online, naomba tuwachukue wa online mepewa, si ndio? Sisi tuko hapa mpaka saa 12 leo, si ndio? Yeah, so allow me to answer this one question online. And then we can revert to protocol. So the question is, this question on the schools was answered, the LPG, the town schools. The question about the Ministry of Energy. The other question is, how many programs are currently running? That has also been responded. What structures has the government put in place in terms of financial assistance to help schools transition from the ancient to these modern clean cooking strategies? Now, that is what is currently being designed. I wouldn't want to mention some of the behind-the-scenes conversations with the DFIs for now. I'll be out of order. However, the schools that have been able to get a transition, that was fully financed by government as part of what you call the proof of concept. So I hope that was clear. But once the different financing instruments have been developed, those will be made public. There are about 2 commercial banks in the country who are looking to be part of the engagement. There's the 2 DFIs, that is Development Finance Institutions, who are also looking to be part of this, but we can't disclose now until those instruments are developed and they go through the usual financing instrument process and whatnot. That said, allow me to momentarily revert back to the Master of Ceremony so as we can transition into other sets of protocol.
Thank you very much, Charles, for steering the program. Dr. Beatrice Muganda Inyangala, the Principal Secretary, the State Department for Higher Education and Research, who is representing our chief guest, is here with us. And Ambassador Ali Mohammed Daoud, Kenya's Special Envoy on Climate, Zef Kifungi of the Children Investment Fund, the Governing Council of NACONEC, represented by the Chair, Lina Sekai, who's also seated here. All protocols observed. Good afternoon once again. I think our moment is here. Our chief guest is already here with us to deliver the remarks of the Cabinet Secretary for Education. And before she will be invited officially by Dr. Ali Mohammed, who will make his remarks and invite the chief guest officially. Ambassador, Your Excellency, come and take over the stage.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, CEO, Madam Dr. Beatrice, PS, Higher Education, the Chair of NACONEC, Zef from CIF and other partners who are here, and all distinguished participants. I greet you. Been sitting here for a while listening to all the discussions since morning. And it's really a great privilege to be part of this conversation on addressing a very pertinent challenge that we all face in Kenya, but really in the world, the issue of climate change, which is the biggest existential challenge currently the world is facing. And it's been addressed in different ways. And one of the ways that is being discussed here is one of the solutions. It's not the only solution, but it will go a long way towards addressing that challenge. Allow me to read some statement which has a lot of statistics on what the issue is. And the CEO earlier on referenced the number of schools in our country, and I understand we have about 40,000 schools, both public and private, a number of them being boarding schools. And as the DG earlier in the day said, nearly all of them, whether day or boarding, we provide some form of feeding that requires energy. As you know, energy is the biggest contributor to matters of climate change around the world. Fossil fuels is the single largest contributor. In our case, the energy that we depend on for our cooking is largely biomass, firewood and charcoal. 60 to 70% of the Kenyan population depends on biomass. And that comes, of course, from nature. And that contributes to, of course, a number of challenges we've heard from the various speakers. And I had one of the principals, or maybe not principal, but one of these people who are here, who has suffered from respiratory problems. So one of the key challenges that immediately we see is the challenge of ill health from indoor air pollution. You may be aware from the statistics of the Ministry of Health that annually we lose close to 21,000 Kenyans due to indoor air pollution. 50% of those are people or children who are below 5. It's very unfortunate. It's something that can be addressed, not to mention the cost of acres of forest and trees every year, because that firewood and that charcoal must come from our trees, whether it is in the asal areas or it comes from our forested areas. And I remember the guy was here earlier, was speaking to the fact that we have a presidential program of raising 15.6 billion trees. So as we plant, and I'm sure all of you are contributing to that presidential goal of reforesting our land, we're also cutting. And so we need to look for solutions to address this. And I'm informed that the cost, I've had questions relating to capitation and so on. Well, that is very genuine concerns, but the cooking and the firewood and the charcoal is also costly. And already the ministry, together with yourselves as schools, are already expending huge amounts of money every year. And from the engagements that we have had with certain schools that we are trying to pilot these issues, I understand up to 15 billion Kenya shillings or thereabout is spent every year for firewood and charcoal. So one of the most expensive items in schools, I understand, includes the energy costs, but largely the energy for cooking. Of course, the energy for lighting and all that is also a big challenge. So what is the solution? As you know, our government is a leader on matters climate change. His Excellency President, our President, is a champion on matters of climate change. And we're recognized for our leadership in that respect. And we must demonstrate by action the various things that we are doing. And we have commitments, various government policies. You will know that we are currently at 92 to 93% renewable energy in our grid, and our country has committed to reach 100% clean energy by 2030. But with regards to clean cooking, we have another policy document led by the Ministry of Energy, which again gives the target of 2028 for us to reach 100% clean cooking. And there is a lot of efforts going on. We have some of the best facilities and companies that are currently leading in clean cooking technologies in Africa and indeed in the world. You probably are aware of the biggest one, the biggest clean cooking facility is somewhere in Ruiru called BURN, B-U-R-N, and it produces state-of-the-art equipments that are being exported around the world, largely in Kenya and South Asia. We have KOKO, K-O-K-O, that is providing bioethanol to 1.3 million households in the country. And it's the biggest bioethanol cooking facility or cooking company in the world. And how are they doing? Many others, and I'm sure you'll be interacting with some. I've seen a few that is, I think, showcasing their technologies outside here. And how are they doing that? Because it is agreeable, it's not cheap to undertake these initiatives. It is through subsidy by carbon credits. Nowhere in the world has clean cooking been achieved without government subsidy. And government subsidy for us in a country that is seriously in debt situation is not that easy. And so we need to look for innovative ways of subsidizing the cost of cooking. And one of those ways is the discussion that you had earlier here on carbon markets. Our country is leading in the continent on matters of carbon markets. It's a big opportunity that Africa and the entire global south is looking up to in order to raise financing for us to adapt to climate change. As you know, we are contributing significantly. Even while I said we have close to 13,000 hectares or 30,000 acres of land being destroyed and burnt every year, and 60 to 70% of our population using biomass, our overall contribution globally to greenhouse gases is insignificant. So 0.0% of the total global emissions, which is close to 50 billion gigawatts annually. So our emissions is very insignificant. So ours is for adaptation. And so that needs to be paid how to adapt to climate change in some form. And so one of the ways, innovative ways of solutions that you are looking at and we are championing as a country is the whole issue of carbon credits. And luckily, Nairobi and Kenya is a hub for technologies that promote solutions to climate change, and we have a huge ecosystem of innovators and actors who are contributing to this. And a number of them, in excess of, I think, 300 or so different companies, the whole ecosystem, from the project developers to those who are verifying and so forth. And a lot of funding is flowing into our country. So through subsidies, using innovative financing as carbon markets, we will be able to do that. It's not government going to pay that. And I really thank CEO for your vision in terms of partnering with VAST and other companies who are going to help us access this international climate financing through the private sector. And we will give the support that is required from government. As I said, Kenya is leading. 25% of Africa's carbon markets is from Kenya. We are a country of, as you know, 54, there are about 1 million people out of a continent of 1.5 billion people. Yet we have a quarter of the carbon markets of Africa, and we are gearing towards enhancing it. You've heard that regulations have been developed and passed recently, and the ministries and agencies that are responsible have put in place the necessary mechanisms, institutional mechanisms to lead that. In my office, I have a gentleman, Mr. Benson, who is now leading a clean cooking delivery unit, which is looking at coordinating whole of a government approach to this issue. Schools is one thing institutionally, but we also have correctional facilities, as you know. They also use nearly 100% biomass. And we have hospitals also who are using. So we are leading and trying to coordinate a whole of government approach towards addressing the institutional needs. That is not to forget homes also, because ultimately our homes, 60 to 70% of our homesteads who use biomass also need to be transitioned to clean cooking. So the clean cooking delivery unit in my office is coordinating government agencies as well as private sector. And let me thank our partners, CIF, WFP, UNICEF, and others. I understand Rockefeller is also online. And there are several others who are willing to partner with us and support us. So we will be working with partners across the country and beyond to support this whole initiative of addressing this big challenge of clean cooking. And we are grateful that the responses that we have been getting has been very encouraging. I commend Mr. Harun for piloting already a few schools. I am aware of Nairobi and Garissa. I hope a number of them, others will come in. And we're not looking to use government financing for that. So we'll be reaching out to get carbon credits to pay for all that. And we will be, of course, you'll hear much more from Vas Carbon, who are developing the systems for that. So once again, CEO, congratulations, and I want to encourage all of you to take this matter very seriously and not, diminish its importance. It is something that is critical for our health. It's something that is critical for, our global commitments. You will know that we have obligations under international rules, and we have committed ourselves to reduce our emissions by 32% to 2030. We have sent another commitment called NDC, National Determined Contribution, which we are again committing ourselves to reduce our emissions by that 5%. The majority of our emissions all come from, agriculture and land-based issues, deforestation and so forth. And because of this, we have to make sure that we live up to the obligations and the commitments we have taken. And this is one of the main ones. His Excellency is particularly keen to see successes of this, and we will be working with all of yourselves through NACONEC and the Line Ministry to help resource the transition that is required. With those few remarks, let me thank you once again, DG and your team, for these excellent initiatives, and looking forward to supporting all of you. Asanteni sana. Oh, let me do another protocol issue. Madam Beatrice, karibu sana. It's a pleasure for you to join us, and it just shows the commitment of the government all the way from the office of the head of state to the minister coming to talk on this issue. You have the floor, madam.
Thank you. Ambassador Ali Daud Mohammed, Special Climate Envoy, Executive Office of the President, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Governing Council of NACONEC, our generous CEO, NACONEC, Mr. Harun Yusuf, development partners present, government officials and Ministry of Education officials present, representatives of the private sector, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. It is my distinct honor to join you this afternoon for this pivotal local stakeholder engagement on the institutional clean cooking program, a bold and transformative step towards revolutionizing how we feed our learners in Kenyan schools. This initiative is about reimagining the future of school meals, aligning food security with environmental stewardship, health and well-being, innovation and inclusive economic growth. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the government of Kenya, under the leadership of His Excellency, our President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, has prioritized universal access to education and the creation of a sustainable, inclusive learning environment for every child. The school meals program remains a cornerstone of this vision. And ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to think through what makes a conducive learning environment. More often, we think about the inputs into the teaching situation, the classroom, the books, the pens, the teachers, teaching and learning materials. And more often, it stops there. But we have to think more holistically about the human capital, the child. How healthy is that child? This speaks to their medical issues and also the food. But again, it doesn't stop there. When we think about the environment, how clean, how safe is that environment? And this is how clean cooking then comes to center stage. And with clean cooking, technology. According to classical economists, When they put together all the factors of production, land, labor, technology, the productivity was much higher than those factors of production. And this extra productivity was attributed to technology. So technology is so central in everything that we do as a government. And indeed, ladies and gentlemen, our government has embraced technology as key to driving our economic development priorities. In line with Kenya Vision 2030, the National Education Sector Strategic Plan 2023 to 2027, the Energy Act 2019, the Climate Change Act 2016, and the National Climate Change Response Strategy, this Clean Cooking initiative speaks to our collective responsibility to innovate in how we deliver public services, particularly in education. The emerging recommendations of the Presidential Working Party on Education Reform proposed integration of climate programs in the curriculum to further reinforce our commitment. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, traditional cooking methods in schools, largely reliant on firewood, are not only costly and inefficient, but pose serious health and environmental hazards. They undermine our efforts towards sustainable development and climate resilience. By transitioning to modern steam cooking technology, this program delivers a whole range of advantages. There's reduction in fuel costs by 90.3%, and this will ease financial pressure on schools and parents alike. Let's also think about the drastic cuts in carbon emissions that will help Kenya honor its international commitments to climate change mitigation. There's improved health outcomes through elimination of smoke inhalation hazards that threaten the well-being of school cooks and children. There's also higher operational efficiency, ensuring that learners receive timely, nutritious meals that enhance classroom concentration and performance. And we can't forget the very essence of creation of jobs in the local manufacturing and Juakali sectors, spurring local economic development and innovation. So there's a whole range of benefits that cut across the value chain, cut across backward and forward linkages. This initiative is therefore not just a technological upgrade, it is a game changer. A holistic, scalable solution with educational, environmental, economic, and health benefits. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Clean Cooking Initiative aligns with the National Energy Policy 2018 and leverages the opportunities provided by the Kenya National Electrification Strategy and Kenya's Bioenergy Strategy 2020 to 2027. It is further supported by the Environmental Management and Coordination Act of 1999 and the National Environmental Policy of 2013. It has already received endorsement at the highest level. As we talk now, it is currently under consideration by the Cabinet, and subsequently we will pursue other procedures to ensure that it is implemented across the nation. The moment is here. The momentum is building, and we must seize this moment. Are you ready? Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for this initiative to succeed and reach all 10 million learners by the year 2030, I can't overemphasize the importance of partnership. As government, we cannot do this alone. And this is why today's meeting is so very critical. And I thank each and every one of you individually from the bottom of my heart for making the time to come here and be part of this important convening. As we gather here, it is with great humility that I make a few calls to urgent action. To our development partners, please align funding and technical support to catalyze rollout and capacity building. Our very important private sector players, especially our local manufacturers, please invest in clean cooking technologies, create jobs, and support local innovators. To our county governments, the call is for you to embed this initiative in the devolved school feeding and energies priorities. Our very powerful civil society and faith-based institutions, please champion uptake in underserved areas. So let us work together, hand in hand, to build a generation that learns, eats, and thrives sustainably. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today's local stakeholder engagement is not just a consultative meeting. It is a milestone on the journey to a smarter, healthier, and more sustainable school meals program. This program does not just feed children, it fuels dreams, supports learning, and protects the planet. With your support and commitment, we will transition Kenyan schools from inefficient, polluting kitchens to centers of excellence in clean energy and child nutrition. The time for action is now. Together, let us make this bold vision a reality. And as I conclude, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish once more to thank all of you stakeholders who have contributed to the design and piloting of this transformative initiative. With your continued partnership and our shared vision, we can deliver and we must deliver real change, not only for our children today, but for generations to come. May this meeting mark the beginning of a new chapter, one of resilience, innovation, dignity, and equity in school feeding. And so, on behalf of my Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Julius Migos Ogamba, who would have liked to be with you, but is committed elsewhere out of this town, I send warm greetings, and it is now my humble duty and honor to declare this stakeholder engagement forum open. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's appreciate Madam PS. Tumpigieni makofi tafadhali. And of course, we want to say a very big thank you, Madam PS, for such an amazing, amazing speech. What do you think of her speech? What do you think? How was it? What was the key point? What did you pick from that speech? What is it? What was her request to the private partners? Total support. Kweli uongo. Asante sana. And of course, even before we proceed with this particular program, allow me, of course, to ask the team that was helping me. I'm being reliably informed that they are, of course, special gift, of course, for Madam PS, and the CEO will help us as well to just hand over the gift to Madam PS. So wacha niombe the team that was here. The first gift, of course, will head to Madam PS, and it will come from the CEO. So I don't know the media team will advise me. Chini kule, it's okay from here? All right, we'll just create space kidogo. And then we will have wapigieni makofi tafadhali. Let's appreciate, of course, the CEO. Special gift hamper, of course, from Nakonek, and we say a very big thank you to you. Media team, are we good? Iko sawa? Are we good? Very nice. The CEO as well.
You know, now we have the Conflict of Interest Act, and I want to confirm that this is less than 20,000.
Pigia makofi, Madam PS, tafadhali. And of course, when you see her doing that, it is, of course, the intention that the ministry that she is running is as transparent as it can get. Pigieni makofi tena one more time. And of course, second in line, I'll ask Madam PS to take her seat. Second in line, of course, is a gift from the CEO to the ambassador. Wacha niombe ambassador aweze kukaribia pia naye. Mpigieni makofi tafadhali, Bwana ambassador. Asante sana, thank you so much. And then of course the third gift, of course, will go to the head of Clean Cooking Delivery Unit, Office of the President. The gift hamper is coming from our CEO to the representative of the head of the cleaning unit, cooking delivery unit. Pigieni makofi pia nae. Asante sana. Allow me to ask the representative from the office of the First Lady as well to come and pick a quick gift hamper from our CEO. Mpigieni makofi anapokuja pia naye. Na tunasema ni asante sana. Remember that this is just a gesture of respect coming, of course, from our CEO all the way to the partners that we are having here, and just a show of respect to tell them that karibuni sana and thank you for partnering with us. And we keep saying that, Madam PS, asante sana kwa kuja, and that was a lovely, lovely speech. Pigieni makofi, representative from the office. Allow me also to have a representative from World Food Program, WFP, to come and receive a gift hamper. I know that she'll have a chance to speak in a little while, but for now, please receive a gift from our CEO, just as a sign of respect and saying thank you for the wonderful job that you're doing. Wapigieni makofi, 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 makofi. Asante sana, makofi. All right, let's look at the picture. Tafadhali tuangalie picha. Let's look at the camera. May we have as well the UNICEF representative as well, coming to get something from our board chair. That is from our CEO, that is Mr. Haroon, of course, as a sign of respect. That is the UNICEF representative. Remember that this is just a sign of respect, just to say thank you for the wonderful job. Asante sana, media team. Are we good? Thank you so much. May we have the former board chair. May we have the former board chair of NACONEC just coming to receive something from the CEO as a sign of respect and just to say thank you. Mpigieni makofi tafadhali. Thank you, media team, for the swift action. May we now have the current all right, so may we have the current board chairperson of NACONEC. We have the current board chairperson of... Mpigieni makofi tafadhali. So with your permission, Bwana CEO, I will ask you to... We will do the other one in the next session. So I will ask, of course, Bwana CEO. So my protocol team, wanaweza nisaidia. Let's appreciate them. Wapigieni makofi tafadhali. Let's appreciate them. All right, there's one for Sif. There's one for Sif as well. Let's appreciate. Wapigieni makofi tafadhali. Asante sana. Thank you so much, yeah? Asante. Remember, we have more of these gift hampers just coming on. Asante. Thank you so much. And just a special appreciation, of course, to the media team. I want us to appreciate the media team for such an amazing job that they are doing. Wapigieni makofi tafadhali. Remember that when you have a media team like this, things move so swiftly, and a protocol team that assists us in moving the things so easily. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind you that we are still live on TV47 and Radio 47 as well. And even as we do this program, remember that we want to engage each and every quarter, so that by the end of this discussion, we will have had a conclusive agreement and we've steered the nation forward. Allow me, of course, to call upon the CEO of Faith Engineering Works Limited, that is Wycliffe Ngonga, so that he can take us through a little bit of a presentation, and then we cross over to the live that is coming up shortly. Please help me welcome the CEO of Faith Engineering Works, Bwana Wycliffe Ngonga. Mpigieni makofi tafadhali anapokuja, even as we do this all together. Karibuni sana. Let's continue with the program. It's going to be amazing. Karibu sa.
Good afternoon. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry, State Department for Higher Education and Research, Dr. Beatrice Muganda, Ambassador Ali Daoud Mohammed, Special Climate Envoy, Office of the President, the CEO, NACONEC, Mr. Yusuf Harun, all distinguished guests, all protocols observed. My name is Wycliffe Ngonga. I am the CEO and founder, Faith Energy Saving Engineering Works. Today I'm here to present to you one of the technologies among many technologies in the country, one that has been piloted in a number of schools, 7 in number, and the number is still moving on. And one fact that I can mention is that the technology is working. And a number of you in this meeting can attest to this, because I have interacted with so many of you who have interacted with the system, and they can be able to attest that this system is a game changer. Allow me to take only 5 minutes to invite the high table to where the technology is, so that I could take them through the process. The rest of the team, the delegation, I would like to kindly request you to be humble and wait for the presentation as I do it on the screen. And then there's also going to be one live broadcasting from Garissa High School, so that you can be able to see the different models of the technology that we are talking about. Thank you.
For the rest, you'll be able to see on the screen the demonstration happening outside. Then we go to the Garissa High School. So media team, please project the video from outside to the projector screen as well. Otherwise, on the 2 TVs, you can also see the presentation from outside. Asanteni.
All right, even as we remain seated, allow me to remind you ya kwamba media team will project every activity that is happening here, and as you can see, there it is. Remember, I reminded you that we have a very amazing media team that is working around the clock just to make sure that we have everything in order. This is live, of course. What you're seeing on your screens is live from KICD, that is right here in Starehe constituency, that is in Nairobi County. We're going to cut across live, of course, all the way to Garissa, just to show you the project that is going on over there. And if we can possibly, if we have sound feed, we can as well have that, so that we can continue with this particular program. So may I ask that we remain seated calmly, and then we watch the activities that are taking place on our screens.
Check.
Sorry, sir. We can't hear you.
Hello? Okay, let me start again. Now, this is a steam cooking technology. It's a 3-component part consisting of what we call a steam generator, the steam supply lines, and the cooking vessels. Thank you. Yeah, so we have what we call the steam generator, the steam supply lines, and the cooking vessels. The steam generator can be mounted outside the kitchen, while the cooking vessels are mounted inside the kitchen. Simply because this steam generator is a hybrid system, it adapts to different types of fuel. One being biomass. Second, it can be able to use LPG gas. It can also be able to use electricity or solar to power it up to cook. So how does this system work? This steam generator contains water. So you heat up the water, water boils, turns into steam. As the water turns into steam, we have developed it in a special way that the steam content is reduced. And the act of reducing the steam content inside the water accelerates the speed and also increases the pressure. When you increase the pressure and the temperature, whatever meal you've put at the cooking vessel is going to cook very fast within the shortest period of time. When this steam generator is mounted outside the kitchen, it enables the use of different fuels, like I mentioned, firewood, which usually has ash and charcoal, which normally makes the cooking environment not very clean. So when you have the vessels alone inside the kitchen, you'll have a very clean, safe working environment for the cooks and the end users. So these cooking vessels can be mounted. The number can be mounted depending on the size of the steam generator. Like for the Nairobi School case, we have one steam generator that cooks 10 cooking vessels. All these 10 cooking vessels can cook simultaneously or each at the same time. Like any other cooking device, it has what we call a control knob, because sometimes you want to cook with high pressure, sometimes you want to cook with the low pressure. So when you pull down the control knob, as you can see, there is the steam is going to bubble, and then the food is going to cook within the shortest period of time. Like for the case of Nairobi School, the population at Nairobi School is about 2,500 learners. They cook about 600 kilos of rice. Previously, it used to take them about 4 to 5 hours to prepare rice. But with the transition to steam technology, now they are cooking 600 kilos of rice within 15 minutes. Tea, about 1,500 that they used to cook for 2 hours or 3 hours, it only takes them 9 minutes to prepare the same tea. Githeri that used to take the whole day, the whole night, and the better part of the morning now takes only 1 to 2 hours to prepare the same meal. This system also comes with what we call a tilting mechanism, which helps the cooks to offload food with ease without using a spoon to remove the food. All they do is just to tilt the vessel, as you can see. And as you tilt the vessel, you can be able to offload the food. Now, this steam system comes with 2 variances of pot. There's one which we call the double jacket and the non-jacket. Different types of meals requires different cooking methodologies. For instance, if you're preparing ugali, the art of preparing ugali is mixing or stirring as it solidifies. For the non-jacket, it means that there are perforations inside the pot, and those perforations allow the steam that comes from the steam generator to get into the food. So if you cannot be able to cook ugali in the perforated pot, but for the double jacketed pot, you'll be able to cook ugali because there are 2 jackets and the steam gushes in between. In terms of fuel efficiency, the technology helps you reduce the fuel consumption by between 60% to 90.3%, depending on the type of fuel that you are using or you would like to use. So as a player in this industry, we are saying that we are not only giving solution to the public, but we are giving the power to the end user. So the institution can make a decision what type of fuel they find convenient or cost effective for them to use in the technology. So the technology is patented. We've already patented it. And I would like you now to have a look at Garissa High School, where the technology is working using gas alone, while Nairobi School is only using biomass, but we're in the process of converting it. We can go back. Yes.
60 to 90% energy saving.
Yes.
That's significant.
Yes.
Have you quantified that in terms of economically? How much have the schools faced? Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm asking, I congratulate you for, of course, the innovative idea and for patenting, because that's good. I hope it is with KIPI, Kenya. That's great. We should patent it internationally, hopefully. But my question is, you said 60 to 90% energy saving. Great achievement. Congratulations. How much does that translate economically? How much savings have the schools done?
Okay, for the case of Garissa High School.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for that question. We have 2 samples which we can be able to give out. Nairobi School previously used to consume 2,000 kilograms of firewood. Currently, per day, costing per day, previously, yeah, 6,000 a day. But currently, they are only consuming 500 kilograms of firewood with the same population meals prepared. So you see that's about 1.5 1.5 tons reduction in terms of biomass reduction. When you come to LPG gas, Garissa High School, with a population of about 1,300 learners, is consuming 1,000 shillings a day to cook for the learners. That's about 30,000 within a term. Compared to other technologies where you're using LPG gas directly to cook, some institutions spend about between 350 to 700,000, depending on which location the school is located. Down to 30,000.
Yeah, again, let me add my voice and just congratulate you for this innovation. It is truly a game changer. How safe is this innovation?
A very good question, PS, Madam PS. The steam system, as we develop it, we work with different players in the market. There's a body called government-approved boilers and pressure vessel inspectors. These are institutions that are mandated by the government to check on safety of pressured vessels and boilers. So in the process of design, purchase of the materials, after the system has been fabricated and installed, we take these government-approved boilers inspectors to go to the institution where the system are installed. They do the entire safety checks, and they issue certificates to each boiler and the cooking vessel. And this is repeated annually to make sure that the system remains to the standard that is required.
In financing, I mean, that's the most important thing these principals and educationists are asking. How was it financed? Was this through government, through NACONEC, or did you raise other funding?
Yeah, that's a good question, Bon Ambassador. The particular models that we have done, the 6 schools were financed by the government, but we are working with different players like the banks to come up and support schools in acquiring more technologies like this. At the moment, we have about 100 inquiries from different institutions across the country who are interested in the same technology. So we are finalizing the nitty-gritties of financing with the banks to be able to support institutions to adapt to this technology. Now, allow me to take you to Garissa High School, a school that uses LPG for cooking using steam, and the benefits that they are enjoying there. Thank you.
All right, and remember that the feed is live. It is coming to you live, of course, from Garissa High School.
Alafu benefit ya sufuria unaweza iroll kama chakula imeiva, unaweza imwaga vizuri, ukitoa ukiweka kwa troli ya chakula. Sufuria iko na bana, hii inatusaidia kuweka gauge yake, inapima moto ile wakati sufuria imechemka, na unaangalia na hapa hii mahali ya kupima nao gauge. Hii sufuria kama hii ni ya kupika chai, hii ya kupika chai, hii ya kupika mchele, rice kama hiyo, rice beans kama hiyo. Na mchele Just maraki na take 40 minutes kuiva. Kisha mchele within the 1 hour lunch supper inakuwa iko ready. Ingine ni ya githeri. Wakati unaenda githeri after 1 hour githeri inakuwa iko tayari. Githeri maraki inakuwa iko tayari. Ingine bado ni rice. Na ingine ni ugali. Hii ni mzuri kwa ugali. Omechi data iko na bag hapo. Mali ya kupima gauge. Ukiwakisha automatically gauge inaanza kupanda. Yes. Hiyo nini? Yes. Hii system imetusaidia sana. Omech kitambo tulikuwa tunatumia around 3 hours kupika. Hii sasa hivi take only 1 hour lunch supper kila kitu kinaweza iko ready. Kila kitu iko ready within 1 hour. Tutakula kila kitu iko ready. Kama ni chai within 15 minutes. Chai iko tayari. So hii system imetusaidia for long. Hata sisi wapishi tumefurahia sana. Sababu hii system imeturahisishia kazi. Ndio wakati tunapika sometimes unaweza ile wakati tunatumia kuni time ni around 20 minutes ama 30 minutes. Ile take 15 minutes. So we go best than the other. So hii ndio ina read quality. Hii mita ndio ina read hiyo moto. Tunaangalia hiyo mita. Ukifika some points like ikifika 3 hours 3 baada saba unakuwa unaanza kupika automatically. Yes.
Wanisia remarks.
Hii system imetusaidia sana babu. Tunashukuru sana kwa kutuletea hii system. Tunafurahia hata sisi wapishi tunafurahia sababu hii system ni nzuri, imetusaidia for long. Thank you very much.
Anaweza nisikia. So let me ask a question. Sijui kama unaweza nipata kwa njia iliyo safi. Kuna swali moja ambalo pengine tungependa kuuliza kabla hauja endelea na shughuli ambazo unafanya siku ya leo. Sijui kama Charles ulikuwa na swali moja. Is there anyone who has a question to him? One question, yes please. Wacha tusikize swali moja. Yes.
Asanteni sana. Mimi naitwa Davis Simiyu na niko na swali ya kuuliza. Hiyo kitchen equipment if they have got a warrant of service, na nilikuwa nataka kujua pia because you know we are dealing with fire, we wanted to know whether he has got an insurance cover for those people who are doing that kind of work. And then naomba pia tuambie kama hiyo machine sometimes inaweza kuwa na side effects ama challenges to the staff. Does he have a training manual or operating manual for the machine he has manufactured? Lastly, kuna mahali amesema ya kwamba there are orders imetoka karibu 1000 orders or inquiries for those machines. Does he have the capacity to manufacture such kind of machines within a month like 500? Thank you.
Asante sana. Kikosi kutoka kule Garissa, ningeomba kama mnaweza nipata kwa njia iliyo safi. Kuna maswali ambayo yameulizwa ikiwemo ile ya kwamba mmesema kwamba kuna orders zaidi ya 1000 ambazo mnaweza kuzichapisha. Je, mko na capacity ile ya kuweza kupeana hizi order? All to you in Garissa. Media team, wanaweza tupata? All right, kama wawezi tupata, we will of course we will have ilikuwa ni waombee our invite lunch, lakini sasa signal imekataa. Sasa lunch ya Garissa. Is he back? All right, unaweza tupata tafadhali? Going on. As that is going on, ladies and gentlemen, nilikuwa nimepanga ni wamwambia wa invite lunch, lakini sasa signal imeleta shida. We will be back. Allow me to excuse the team that is here, Madam PS, of course, and the CEO, for a photo session hapa nje that we will be guided tafadhali. So I'll ask that the team that is here to all right. All right, even as the photo session is ongoing, allow me to call upon Wycliffe. Wycliffe, engineer. Where is there anyone that has seen Wycliffe? Wycliffe tafadhali, Wycliffe. I know that there are a number of questions that you have, all right? I know there are a number of questions that you have, and I want to remind you that Wycliffe Ngonga from Faith Engineering Works is still with us. And for any question, yes, please come up on stage. Come up on stage. For any question that you might have for Wycliffe in relation to what we've just watched, in relation to what he has just presented, this would be the time. There was that microphone that was doing round. Where is it? There it is. Kindly, any person with a question. There was somebody with a question over here. Kuna swali pale. Swali. Na kuna swali pande hii. So come with that microphone hapa mbele kidogo so that we take the questions as Wycliffe answers them. Yes, kindly. Swali moja hapo. Utasema jina, the county that you are representing, and your question to Wycliffe. Karibu Wycliffe.
Thank you very much. I'm called Rosemary Birenge from Kisumu County. We are grateful for this innovation. It's very nice. It is cost effective in terms of firewood. But I want to know how cost effective is it? What is the cost of installing these apparatus in an institution of, say, like Garissa, 1,000 students or 2,000 students? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? I think I can write down some of them, then I can answer at once.
Yes. Yes. Hello. Yes. Hello. My name is Jasmine. I'm from Kyoto Network.
From what networks?
Kyoto Network. My question is your solution favorable to coastal region? Because we understand from the coast we have salty water and stuff. Another question is, she has asked it about the cost. Another thing is, how will it translate? Okay, I wish to understand the number of students in Garissa so that it can translate to maybe when I'm coming from maybe Elgeyo Marakwet, where I have 1,000 students. So when you tell me the cost is 1,000 per day, for me, how will it, what's the translation? Is it cost effective as such? Yeah, but it's a very nice innovation. Thank you.
Thank you.
name is Beatrice Keror. I just wanted to ask, how safe is it now that you are using pressure? That is one. Two, the cost of fixing it. Heavy is that to a school? Especially, I see from Garissa they are talking about 1,000. That is very little money compared to the number of students that a school may have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, just a quick one.
Please tell me your name.
Sorry, my name is Elizabeth. Is the solution tailored according to the number of students per school, or it's just a same fit size?
I am Sami Egon from Baringo. Mine is an appreciation. I have sat and seen that if it is your brain child initiative,
thank you,
then it is a milestone. Other things as we move ahead, because when I think, for example, I have come from an outskirts of a town school where firewood is a problem. And sometimes when you become innovative, some issues can be solved. Like the issue of water. My friend, I have heard my friend maybe saying maybe the food can be good and the water is a problem. We have some very helpful organization. Like I wrote, my brothers from Eldoret could know that. I wrote some proposal to some church organization, the International Hope Water, and they have come to sink a borehole in my school, and I have no problem. So these other eventualities can be sorted as we move on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Joseph Anode. I wanted just to ask, what is the lifespan of the technology, and do you have technical support in case of challenges when it comes to using the technology, and how much can you be able to produce in terms of the technology to be able to assist the schools in case they need supply? Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Okay.
Can I? Okay, go ahead.
My name is Banis from Machakos. My question is, how does solar solution compare to gas in terms of speed of working, like supporting the many stoves you have seen, and in terms of cost when installing and other technicalities and logistics involved? Thank you.
Thank you. Can I answer some of these questions first? Okay, thank you. Let me start with our sister from Kisumu, who asked about the cost of the system. The cost of the system depends on the population you want to prepare the meal for, 2, the number of pots that the institution requires, and 3, the type of meal that is being prepared. Different meals requires different energy amount. If you're preparing light meals like rice for the institutions like Garissa High School, they don't take a lot of githeri, so their hardest meal to cook is rice. That does not require a lot of energy, but schools from Western, Central, Western, Eastern, and other parts which require to prepare something like maize and beans and the rest, they'll require a lot of energy. So we normally fabricate our systems depending on each and every school's model. We don't have a fit-for-all capacity. We customize these systems. What we do as a company, we have our sales representatives on the ground in different regions who visit institutions that are interested, who have shown interest. They take the information that, they gather the information that I've mentioned. Then when this information is gathered, they bring it to the, send it to the company. We run it through a database, a program that we have in our system, which is now able to give us the exact capacity in terms of the steam generator and the sizes of the vessels and the number of the vessels. Well, you could first of all start with less number of ports for an institution, then later on increase the number of ports. But we have to put in consideration the ultimate capacity or number of ports that you'll be using eventually. So in that case, you could be having, for example, Garissa High School or Nairobi School, which has a 500 kg steam generation capacity per hour. But instead of going for all the 10 cooking pots, because in steam technology, we're using what we call efficiency. If you can be able to prepare meals like Nairobi School or Garissa High School, where they are preparing meals by 10 a.m., they have prepared breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you could reduce the number of pots and stretch your capacity. Instead of cooking for 3 hours, you could cook for 6 hours or 9 hours in a day and still realize the output production that you need. In that case, the cost will come down drastically. But normally we have a standard price that we normally have. For example, a school that prepares meals for between 500 to 700 learners, the system will cost between 3 million to 5 million Kenya shillings. We have another category of about 1,000 to 1,500 learners. It could be between 7 million to 8 million. We have another category whereby the system can prepare meals for up to 3,000 learners. It ranges between 10 million to 14 million Kenya shillings. It sounds a lot of money, but the truth of the matter is, if you look at the overall let me use the word wastage in institutions, in terms of fuel that is being consumed, in terms of the amount of water that is being used. There's one person who has also mentioned the issue of water in schools that don't have water. When we generate steam from water. So as you prepare your meals at the vessels, the amount of water that you're using has to reduce by 50%. If you're preparing rice and you're putting 50 liters of water when you're preparing your rice, when you're using the steam technology, you'll reduce the amount of water to 25 liters. So it also conserves the amount of water that is being used. To our brother Kizito asking a question about coastal province, I want to assure you that Kwale Boys High School is in Kwale County. That's a coastal region. That school is using the steam cooking technology currently. You are free to get in touch with the principal to ascertain the information I'm giving you and also collect more data and evidence about the technology and compare the old technology which they used to have and the current technology which they are having, which is steam. The other question about population, Garissa High School has about 1,000 and something learners, but Nairobi School, when we deployed the technology, they had about 2,300 learners. Garissa High School uses biomass for cooking. Previously, they used to consume about 2,000 kilograms of firewood in one day. Currently, with the steam technology, they are consuming 500 kilos, cooking for the same capacity, reduced time, cooking time, but with better output and efficient system. Our sister Beatrice asked a question about safety. We as a company have put a lot of emphasis in safety. The fact that the system is going to be used in a public institution, safety is paramount to us. And as a company, when we develop the technology or the innovation, we work with the institutions called DOSH. These are boilers and pressure vessel inspectors. They are approved by the government to inspect all boilers and pressure vessels. So what we do as a company, once we get an order from any client, we send the information to DOSH. We do the design of the steam generator because the capacity might not be the same capacity.
And move towards efficiency in service delivery.
Yeah. Probably briefly just tell us, are you considering the interior parts of this nation? Because we have interior parts where we may not have electricity, but are you considering this part, interior parts of the nation?
In fact, this technology is an African solution to African problems because it's very flexible. It is suitable for using in areas where we do not have gas, we do not have electricity, which by the way are very few in the country, but still they are, because we use biogas and also solar energy. Yes.
Probably briefly, you can also tell us how is this whole thing a game changer?
It is a game changer because of the backward and forward benefits, because of the value chain. In terms of industrialization, technology comes with the manufacturing of the different components that we need to make the technology work. It is a game changer in terms of helping us to meet our commitments towards managing the planetary crisis. It is a game changer in providing a conducive learning environment for our learners in the schools, which will then enhance the learning outcomes. And for us as a nation, our priority is really to develop human capital that will drive this economy to the next space. And so this is the right footing, one step at a time.
The very last question, what would you say is the Kenyans' reception of this whole technique, using the steam probably, and of course forgetting about the initial way of cooking?
We have been using steam in terms of pressure cookers, but to a very small scale, especially in the households. But with this solution, we're able to scale this steam pressure cooking to institutions. I am sure that with awareness creation, the adoption is going to be very, very high. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. Hivyo basi, elewa kwamba yule ambaye nimezungumza naye ni katibu wa elimu ya juu ambaye ni Daktari Beatrice Inyangala, ambaye anazungumzia kuhusiana na vile ambavyo serikali iko tayari kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba upishi ukitumia teknolojia ya kisasa utahakikishwa, na labda vile ambavyo watakuwa wakihakikisha kwamba shule kadhaa, taasisi kadhaa zitakuwa zikifanya hafla nzima ama zitakuwa zikiendeleza shughuli hii. Na hivyo basi kidogo tu niweze kukupa taswira ya kile ambacho kinaendelea hapa. Pia nikueleze kwamba kulikuwa na uzinduzi wa jiko la ama upishi wa jiko hili ambalo linatumia mvuke, na ila kwamba ni swala ambalo labda limeweza kupokelewa kwa uzuri zaidi na wale ambao ni wadau katika sekta ya elimu, na wakasema kwamba hili litasaidia hasa wanafunzi kuweza kusalia shuleni. Na nyuma yangu tu taswira ni kama hiyo, jiko hili linatumia mvuke kufanya upishi. Labda baadhi ya masuala mengine ambayo yatakuwa yakizungumziwa ama yamezungumziwa hapa tutakuwa tukipata kwenye taarifa zetu, lakini pia nikueleze kwamba hapo awali tuliweza kushuhudia Rais William Ruto akiweza kufanya uzinduzi wa jiko sawia na hili katika shule ya upili ya Garissa, na pia kuna jiko sawia na hili katika shule ya Nairobi. Hivyo basi tunapania kwamba labda serikali inapania kwamba ni swala ama ni shughuli ambayo itakuwa ikiendelea kwenye shule tofauti tofauti na taasisi tofauti tofauti, lakini swali linasalia, je, shughuli kama hizi zitakuwa zikiendelea ama majiko kama haya kutumia mvuke yatakuwa kifanyika tu kwenye elimu, ama kutakuwa taasisi zingine ambazo labda majiko kama haya yatakuwa kitumelewa kwamba ni katika kwa kutafuta njia ambao ni mufti kabisa ya kuweza kufanya upishi, na zaidi ya yote kuweza kuhakikisha unaboresha afya ya umma. Na labda mida ya baadaye tutakuwa tukizungumza na yule ambaye ni mkurugenzi wa NACONEC ambaye tutapata nafasi ya iwapo tutapata nafasi ya kuzungumza naye, labda tutakuwa tukipata dakika 2-3, lakini kwa sasa hafla nzima bado inaendelea, shughuli nzima ya kufanya mashauriano bado inaendelea katika taasisi hii ya ukaguzi wa miradi ukaguzi ama kuweza KICD ambapo ipo katika kaunti hii ya Nairobi. Hivyo basi nitazidi kuuzamia swala nzima kuhusiana na kile ambacho kinaendelea hapa, na labda nitawapa taarifa zaidi kuhusiana na hili. Nitaona iwapo nitapata kuzungumza na wadau wengi ambao wameweza kufika hapa tuweze kujua ni lipi ambalo wamejadili zaidi na ni vipi ambavyo itakuwa ni kwa umaarufu, ama iwapo si umaarufu itakuwa ikiwasaidia Wakenya, na hususan si Wakenya tu, wale ambao ni wanafunzi ambao wanazidi ambao wanaendelea na masomo yao. Hivyo basi leo kwamba tuko hapa, na kama nilivyokuarifu ni kwamba kuna wadau katika sekta ya elimu ambao wanazidi ama wamekuwa kwenye mashauriano haya. Pia kumekuwa kuna wadau wa kutoka mashirika ya kiraia pamoja na wale ambao ni waunda sera ambao wako hapa, wengi wao wakiwa tu ni kufanya mashauriano ya jinsi ambavyo wataboresha upishi ukitumia nishati safi, na zaidi yote kuweza kujua jinsi ambavyo mwanafunzi wa Kenya atasalia shuleni na kuboresha afya yake ama kuboresha afya ya wale ambao wanafanya mapishi haya. Hivyo basi nitakuwa nikizamia swala hili, na hivyo basi kama nilivyokueleza pia nitakuwa nikizungumza na wadau wengine waweze kunieleza iwapo shughuli zima itakuwa ikifanyika kote kote katika taifa la Kenya, maana tunaelewa kuna sehemu za taifa la Kenya ambazo ziko ndani sana, ambazo tunaziita mashinani, na tutataka kujua iwapo miradi kama hii itakuwa ikifanyika kule ama ni miradi ambayo tutakuwa tukiona huku kwenye miji ama mijini. Lakini tutataka kujua mengi zaidi, hususan kutoka kwa yule ambaye ni mkurugenzi mkuu wa NACONEK, ambaye pia atatueleza mengi kuhusiana na shughuli hii na iwapo labda inasaidia kwa vyovyote. Lakini elewa kwamba wengi yule ambaye ni katibu mkuu wa elimu ya juu ameweza kusema kwamba hii yenyewe itakuwa ni kupiga hatua kama taifa la Kenya kuweza kuona kwamba tunatoka kwenye asilia ama mapishi ya nishati asilia kama vile kuni, makaa, pia tukielekea kwenye teknolojia za kisasa ambapo tutatumia labda majiko kama haya ambayo yanatumia mvuke. Na labda tutaelekea wapi kama taifa kuhakikisha kwamba sisi wote tunapata kutumia nishati safi katika kufanya mapishi. Hivyo basi niruhusu tu nizamie swala hili ndani kwa ndani, nikipata kuzungumza na wengine ambao wako hapa ndani kwenye jumba hili. Mashauriano hayo yanaendelea hapa ndani, na labda tutakuwa tukipata nafasi ya kuzungumza nao na wengine wengi tuweze kujua pia mapendekezo yao yatakuwa ni yepi kuhusiana na utumizi wa nishati safi, na labda tuweze kujua wanashirikiana na nani. Naelewa swala zima liko chini ya idara ama wizara ya elimu, na nikakueleza kwamba NACONEK iko chini ya wizara ya elimu, ni inasimamiwa tu na yule ambaye ni Haron Yusuf ambaye ni mkurugenzi mkuu, na pia ni idara ambayo inaweza tu kuongoza ikieleka kwamba inaangazia hususan maeneo kame. Na hivyo basi tutaangazia swala hili kwa undani zaidi kwenye taarifa zetu za hapo baadaye. Kwa sasa niruhusu tu niweze kutangamana na wadau tofauti niweze kupata taarifa tofauti kuhusu jinsi ambavyo tutaweza kurahisisha upishi katika taifa la Kenya. Kutoka kwangu sina la ziada. Andrin Chikosokani jina langu, ni Chichi Josephine.
Naam, asante sana Chichi Josephine, bila shaka kwa kutujuza mbashara yanayojiri kutoka upande wa pili, ambapo ni katika kituo cha kubuni mtaala ambao ni KICD, na ambapo shughuli nzima ya nishati safi katika mapishi shuleni inaendelea, hapo wakichora taswira kamili ya hali ilivyo, na bila shaka taarifa yenyewe tutakuwa kupakulia kwa ukamilifu wake mwendo wa saa 1 na saa 3 mtawalia. Lakini kwa sasa mtazamaji, ninaondoka, ninampisha mwenzangu wa